Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Now, I want you to think for just a second about the incredible journey a simple pill takes. Long before it ever reaches a patient's hands, it starts out on this sterile manufacturing floor, right? Then it travels across countries, passes through warehouses, and navigates this unbelievably complex web of logistics. But here's the thing. How do we actually know that the medication at the very end of that journey is exactly as safe and effective as when it began? Well, today, we're exploring the critical, often completely unseen world of product safety and healthcare distribution.
It's a really fascinating question, isn't it? Who is actually responsible for the safety of your medication the second it leaves the factory gates? Because, we often give all the credit and honestly place all the burden on the pharmaceutical manufacturers. And sure, they create the drugs, absolutely. But somebody else has to step up to ensure those incredibly sensitive products stay perfectly safe, completely uncompromised, and authentic while they're in transit.
Enter the healthcare distributors. According to the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB for short, these are the entities that purchase, inventory, and sell pharmaceutical products and medical equipment to hospitals, pharmacies, and physicians. Basically, they are the crucial gatekeepers of our entire healthcare system. They don't actually make the medicine, but they are absolutely vital to making sure the medicine works exactly as intended when it finally reaches you.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. Gatekeepers of healthcare, 2. Managing toxicity and chemicals, 3. Handling high abuse substances, 4. Intercepting counterfeits, and finally 5. The cost of product safety.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Gatekeepers of Healthcare and the Role of Distributors.
So think of this like a giant puzzle. On one side, we have the manufacturers. They're responsible for creating the drugs and ensuring that initial safety and efficacy. But let's be real. A global manufacturer cannot possibly oversee the delivery to every single local pharmacy and hospital room in the world. It's just not feasible. That is exactly where the distributors come in. They manage the inventory, secure the delivery, and trace the products. This is what we call the shared shield. Distributors step in to literally share the immense, heavy responsibility of product safety with the manufacturers.
Now, what's truly fascinating here is that these aren't just abstract ideas about safety. What we're looking at is the SASB Sustainability Disclosure Topics and Metrics Matrix. And this actually proves that these safety concepts are standardized accounting metrics. Investors and regulators actively demand to know how well distributors are managing these risks. Product safety is so critical that it is quite literally a measurable, reportable sustainability metric for the entire healthcare sector.
Moving right along to Section 2, Managing Toxicity and Chemicals, specifically looking at chemical safety risks.
So, under the SASB code HCDI 250A.2, distributors are actually asked to describe their specific efforts to minimize health and safety risks. They essentially have to actively manage 3 major risk areas. First up, toxicity and chemical safety. Second, products with high abuse potential. And third, the physical delivery process, making sure proper dosages and labeling are in check. By meticulously tracking these actions, distributors form a really proactive line of defense.
Let's zoom in on that first point for a second, toxicity. A distributor's absolute first line of defense is simply minimizing the amount of highly toxic materials they even allow into their inventory in the first place. The standard specifically highlights efforts to reduce the sale of products containing substances of very high concern. Think about it. If a distributor can push the market away from unnecessarily dangerous chemicals just by refusing to widely distribute them, they're effectively protecting the end patient way before the product ever even reaches a pharmacy shelf.
All right, Section 3, Handling high abuse substances and the associated handling risks.
When we talk about something as serious as prescription drug abuse, distributors play a massive role in stopping these crises right at the supply chain level. They're tasked with ensuring proper dosages are dispensed and that products are labeled with absolute precision. But here's a really cool part. They also implement what's known as right sizing of package dosages. Basically, this means making sure that hospitals and pharmacies aren't forced to buy these massive bulk containers of highly addictive substances when they literally only need a small amount. This inherently prevents inappropriate reuse on numerous patients. It is an incredibly powerful, practical way to limit exposure to abuse.
Which brings us to Section 4, Intercepting Counterfeits and Fighting Fake Drugs.
Okay, I really want this number to sink in for a second. 10%. According to the World Health Organization, it's estimated that more than 10% of the pharmaceutical supply chain in low- and middle-income countries is completely made up of counterfeit drugs. Let that sink in. And make no mistake, substandard medication is a huge risk in developed economies too. This is a staggering, frankly terrifying flaw in the global health system.
But what exactly makes a drug counterfeit according to the SASB standards? Well, it's not just a fake brand name slapped on a box. Counterfeit products often entirely lack the active life-saving ingredient. Sometimes they have way too little, or way too much of it. Or even worse, they contain completely the wrong active ingredient hidden inside fake packaging. Just imagine the severe danger this poses to a patient who is expecting a life-saving treatment for, say, a heart condition or a serious infection. It is quite literally a matter of life and death.
So the crucial question is, how do distributors fight back? Because they absolutely do, using an impressive array of high-tech defense mechanisms. To maintain total traceability, meaning they know exactly where a pill has been from the very moment it was made, they use radio frequency identification or RFID tagging and some seriously advanced barcode systems. But, technology alone isn't enough. They also rely on rigorous vendor inspections, deep supply chain audits, rapid alert systems, and direct ongoing coordination with law enforcement. And actually, sometimes the simplest defense is the strongest, just committing to purchasing directly from the manufacturer whenever humanly possible.
And that brings us to metric HCDI 260A.2. This dictates a strict, non-negotiable sequence of due diligence to even qualify a supplier. Before a single pill or medical device is ever purchased, distributors put their suppliers through the ringer. It starts with detailed questionnaires and codes of conduct, then it advances to physical inspections or audits. Finally, it requires verified third-party good manufacturing practices, or GMP certifications. They absolutely must guarantee the integrity of their partners before they ever let them inside that safety shield.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, the cost of product safety and financial accountability.
This right here, this brilliantly illustrates the bottom line. Failing to act as a proper shield doesn't just result in a public relations nightmare. It results in massive, quantifiable financial liabilities. Under SASB metrics HCDI 250A.1 and 510A.2, companies have to report total monetary losses from legal proceedings tied to product safety, as well as any losses from bribery, corruption, or unethical practices. If a distributor lets a toxic, mislabeled, or counterfeit product slip through, or if they engage in false marketing, they are facing devastating civil, regulatory, and criminal fines. Product safety is fundamentally, inextricably linked to the financial health of the distributor.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Healthcare is evolving faster than ever before, and our supply chains are growing vastly more complex by the day. The distributors operating in the background aren't just moving boxes around. They are actively sharing the exact same duty with manufacturers to manage toxicity concerns, handle controlled substances safely, and intercept deadly mislabeled products. They are the essential shield. So, I'll leave you with this. As you look at the healthcare landscape today, is your distributor actively protecting both the vulnerable patients at the very end of the line and the bottom line of their business? It's something we should all be paying very, very close attention to. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today. And hey, keep asking the right questions.